We're going to talk about sizing belted cartridge cases, specifically 300 H&H based type cartridge cases. If you reload it all, and you've loaded any Magnum cartridges, you probably may have encountered an issue sizing belted cases. Especially as our pressures increase a little bit, it becomes a problem. A regular rifle die, when you lube your case and run it up in your folding size die, at a point in time, maybe second, third firing of your cartridge case, you're tending, in some instances, to form a secondary type of a belt, or kind of a lip, because the die actually is swaging that brass ahead of the belt. Well, I have been aware for some time that there is an alternative to this, and just recently I've been put on to something that works extremely well. This is a die that's manufactured by a very ingenious person, quite obviously, to change how these things are sized. These cartridge cases are sized. Here's the die body. This die body accepts a collet type of a sleeve that's bored and reamed to a specific internal diameter. This sleeve is split various places around the sleeve, eight different places, 4 times from one end, 4 times from the other end, and this sleeve is ground to a specific OD diameter, and is ground about 1/2 the length with somewhat of a little bit of a taper. Now I'm going to screw this die body into the press. It goes in underneath here and is threaded in from the underside of the press. So I'm threading this in from the underside of the press. It's got the shoulder on it, on the shoulder end of the die. You snug that die into your press right up against that shoulder. Now you take your cartridge case. This happens to be a 300 Weatherby. You need a lube pad. You lube this case. You take this specially made sleeve. You slide it over the case. You slide it absolutely all the way down to the lip of the belt. And this has a sharp square shoulder on it. Now you take this sleeve, this collet sleeve, you roll that on your lube pad. Now both your case and the sleeve are lubed. You just simply insert this into your shell holder in your reloading press. You just run this up here, extract it, pull this out. You'll notice that this sleeve has slipped up about 5/16 of an inch up the body of the case. You just pull this collet off of there. What you just witnessed was a sizing operation here, not swaging it down from here in dimension, but this collet, as it's run up in this die, is squeezed around this cartridge case, and it squeezes this diameter down ahead of the belt, and it does not leave, it will not leave a secondary belt on your case. You can see this case very well, and we'll take a close-up of this case so you can actually see the case, so that there's not a belt, and you can see on the case about that much ahead of the belt has been sized. We're going to give you the address of where to buy this particular die. These have been made for some time. I was aware of it to some extent, but I never really caught on to it until somebody brought me one of these dies and said, I've been using these dies for a time and I think that's wonderful. You need to try it. It is. It's wonderful. It's a very ingenious idea, it solves a lot of problems. Some of the problems that it solves is not only just this sizing situation, but here's another aspect of the whole thing. I chamber rifles in a lot of different calibers, and we have clients that have, let's say they got two 300 Weatherbys. Well, the case is shot in one 300 Weatherby after the size won't go in the other 300 Weatherby, and vice versa. Well, quite possibly now, because of this new method of being able to take care of this last little bit of sizing this case in such a way that it doesn't form a secondary belt, these cases may possibly, I'm not saying that they're going to be, but possibly they could be interchanged from one rifle to the other depending on other dimensional characteristics. So there you have it. The best method, and I suggest for everybody that reloads for belted Magnum cartridges, to buy one of these ingenious situations. It's very, very simple. Here's another aspect. Once this case has been sized, this die was made specifically with a bore here in the top of the die to use as a gauge. So you can slide this case in here, and that case will go all the way down. There's no wobble. It just will fit in that die, a properly sized case. Now in this instance, it's just perfect, because I have got to take a screwdriver and just nudge that just a little bit, this case that I just gauged in the top of this die. So here's another aspect. You know, the list from the maker of these dies, they list it, I believe, $94.65 or $96.95 or something in that neighborhood, which I think is an absolute buy for what it does for the reloader of belted Magnum cartridges.